Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be flipping through my 2018 bullet journal. The journal I'm using is a Rhodia web notebook, and if you want to know about the supplies I use, they'll be linked in the description. So here's my cover page, and there's no reason for this red dot. I think I must have just spilled something or a pen leaked. The first setup that I did, which you probably saw in my 2018 Plan With Me video, was I reflected on my 2017 and I made a list of things I was looking forward to for this year, which have all passed, and I colored them in as each of them happened. Next, my 18 for 2018, which are 18 goals that I had for the year. After I made my Plan With Me video, I drew in a leaf so I could color in whenever I accomplished each goal. And as you can see, I was successful at doing about half of them, which is not terrible, but not the greatest either, so that's something to work on for next year. On this side, I had a list of habits that I wanted to implement. I never referred back to this page, so I don't think I would use this setup again. And now for my future log. This is where I record the events that will be happening each month to plan ahead for the future. For 2019, I will probably make this larger since I didn't have much space to write things down in this little setup. As a result, I didn't really write anything down, which is not a good thing. So for my 2019 Plan With Me video, which will be coming next week, I will be making that a lot bigger. This setup has books read on the left side. My goal was to read 40 books this year, and I was successfully able to accomplish this by the end of November, which was really great. So next year I'll be setting my sights even higher and hopefully reading a lot more. On the right side, I have a year in pixels. So each box will correspond to a mood and a day. As you can probably tell, I was a lot happier in the summer, and now in junior year I'm just tired and stressed all the time. And if you're wondering why this part is blank, it's because I am filming this in early December, so the whole year hasn't actually finished yet. This side has my theme ideas and my video ideas. I never really referred back to this spread since whatever I did for the setup was usually based on what I wanted in the moment, not what I had written down on a setup a couple of months ago, so I don't think I'd reuse this idea. The video ideas spread, as you can see, I checked off quite a few, and whatever is remaining, I will be moving on to my 2019 bullet journal. Here was my initial video plan, which I used for the first half of the year. In July, I switched over to filming just one video a week, so I made a new video plan setup to account for that, which you will see later on in this flip through. Now on this side, first I had a plan for my spring capsule wardrobe, and then this little Polaroid doodle thing of places to travel, which was really fun to draw, but I never looked back at it again. This year I was able to travel to Tokyo in April though, which was really fun, and hopefully in 2019 I'll be going to New York. This was my little tiny to-do list for winter break. And now we go on to my first monthly setup for January. I'll link all of my Plan With Me videos in the description if you want to check out how I set up all of these monthly setups. That was a lot of the worst setup. So first I have a grid calendar for January, which looks really empty. Next I have a bunch of trackers and plans, so I have a video plan, my routine ideals that I want to implement, my habit tracker, a finance tracker, lots of different things. I have my highlights journaling setup, which was something that I used pretty often throughout the year, although I switched it over to one sentence a day after a while. And then this sleep tracker, which, looking back at it, I can't believe I slept 8.5 hours a day. I guess it was because I was a sophomore, and now sleep, I don't know her. Here is where I planned for each week, and I put all of the weeks together. And then I did daily to-do lists, which are not particularly aesthetically pleasing or drawn or anything, they're just lists. Here is my new video plan, since I accidentally left a couple of these pages blank when I was doing a setup, so I just filled them in later in the year. Yep, as you can see, this is a plan for a certain weekend in June. And then this is my packing list for a camp that I went to at UCLA in July. Next, this is where I planned for my fall and spring capsule wardrobes based on the book The Curated Closet. And then this spread is my packing list for my trip to Europe. And then this is about when I last replaced certain items that need to be replaced regularly, such as a toothbrush, contacts, or my contact case. And now for my February setup, which was gemstone themed. So I had the same trackers as for January, and then I did highlights again and word of the day in French. But towards the end of the month, I didn't actually end up completing all of these. Again, here is the 4-week planner setup, and then the same daily to-do list style. This plan is for spring/winter break, which is the break that we get in February. Then I have my March monthly setup, and this one was mountain/blue and gray themed. I really liked this doodle that I did here. Once again, the same trackers as before, and I tried a new weekly setup, but I wasn't a huge fan of this one. More of the same daily to-do lists. And now moving on to April, which was sunflower themed. I continued using most of the same setups, and I switched back to the 4 columns for my weekly plans. And now for May. This cover page was a lot of effort to color in, and once again, pretty much all of the same trackers and planner setups as I did before. Towards the middle of the year, I was kind of in a bullet journal rut, so I just kept repeating the same things but with different colors. This was my finals study plan for 2018. If you watched my How to Plan for Finals video, you'll see more about how this works. These highlighted lesson things are to mark which ones that I had some trouble with, so I could go back to them later on the days where I reserved for studying things that I found difficult. On this side, I messed up an attempt at using the Tombow dot markers. I forget what they're called, but they have a dot-shaped marker. Then I just used it as a page to test for coloring. Here is another packing list for my trip to Europe, but I titled it Italy Packing List. I'm not sure why I have 2, I don't really remember. On this side, I attempted to keep track of the topics for my Calc BC summer homework that I wanted to review, but I didn't end up using this spread at all. Now for my June monthly setup, which is watermelon themed, and I'm not really a fan of the way this turned out. As you can see, I didn't end up filling in highlights at all this month. And now for my summer plan, which is an overview of the events that are happening, my video plan, my goals, and some trackers to plan for my summer homework. So this was for my English reading, and this was for my Calc homework. And these were my weekly to-do lists. Now moving on to my July monthly setup, and I was a pretty big fan of the way this turned out. I like the minimal line style and the wide spacing and just everything about this aesthetic. In July, I started doing 1 sentence a day instead of highlights, as you can see here. And now for my August setup, which was Mean Girls themed. In August, I started my junior year, which was fun but also stressful. And here is my 1 sentence a day for August. And I did a weekly column thing that I'm not really a fan of and I didn't really look at. This was my shopping list / things that I possibly might get for back to school. And then my to-do lists, a packing list for choir camp. During the first week of school, I put a lot of effort into making my to-do lists look nice. As you can see, this one is really pretty. But as things went on and I got more and more tired and busy, I stopped putting in as much effort. Now moving on to my September monthly setup, which was themed around autumn leaves. I didn't finish 1 sentence a day this month either. I'm not sure exactly why I stopped, but I guess I must have just forgotten that it existed or something. These were my to-do lists for September, and now moving on to October. I really liked the October setup. I like having a giant block of black with white accents and text. Once again, using the same trackers and journal systems as previously mentioned. Now here was my packing list for fall break when I went to New Orleans. And then for October, I started to spice up my daily to-dos a bit more. Pretty much the same format as before, but I added a nicer title with a doodle and a thicker marker. And now my November monthly setup was cloud and rainbow and rain themed. November was really stressful, so as you can see, my habits weren't doing the greatest. And I did another new style of formatting my to-do lists with these box cloud things, which were pretty fun to draw but took a lot of time. But they were a fun way to de-stress for coloring and doodling a bit. And this was my plan for Thanksgiving weekend when I wanted to knock out a couple of things to do. And now this is my study plan for winter finals, which as you are watching, I have finally finished. But as I am filming this, I still have not updated this list for my other classes besides math and history because procrastination. The way this is planned is similar to the planning setup that I did for 2018 actual finals, not winter finals, except I did these little boxes with a date doodle instead of having the columns. On this side, I swatched all of the Uni Posca markers that I got in November, which you might have seen in my December Plan With Me video where I set up this. I find the snow calligraphy header really pretty, and I really like this setup as well, especially the way this bottom tree thing interacts with the grid. And here is the last weekly setup that I have. As I mentioned earlier, I am filming this at the end of this week in December. And now I left a couple of pages blank for my December to-do lists. And then I have swatches of all of the 25 mod liner colors. You probably saw this on my Instagram. And here I'm keeping track of summer program applications, so like deadlines, things that are required. Then this I messed up on, not a fan. I will probably glue these two pages together so it's as if they don't exist. And then this is my setup to plan my training for cross country and track over the summer. These pages are blank and flipping over to the index. So I started my index on the last page, and as it got filled up, I went over forwards to the next page, but it's actually before it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more of my bullet journal videos, they will be linked in the description. I upload new videos every Friday, and in 2018, there will be a couple more bonus Monday videos about bullet journaling. I also post planner pictures on my Tumblr and Instagram, which are both at studyquill. See you next time!